From the Opepco studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Time for our weekly inbox segment. We take your email questions, answer them here on video. Barry, let's get right to it. We start with Isaiah. Isaiah says, what are the Big 12 tiebreaker rules if there's a three-way tie at the top of the conference? If Texas Tech beats K-State and both win the rest of their games, as does OU, who would win the conference title? Good question, Barry.
It is a good question, and in the past we needed a tiebreaker because in a division you have to advance somebody to a title game.
Right.
You don't have to do that now. You could just let the Fiesta Bowl pick who it wants, but no. The Big 12 rules say you go back to the BCS ranking. So BCS is still king. Whoever's the highest ranked BCS team would be the automatic qualifier into the BCS, and that would be the Sooners.
Yeah, and you know what? The reason that, to me, it comes down to the BCS and it swings towards the Sooners, if that scenario plays out that we just saw, is that they had that loss earliest. And obviously they lost to K-State. But if K-State loses, people will say, well, you know, it happened earlier. They've turned it around. They're going to be higher ranked. That early loss could come. I mean, it's not great to have on your resume, right, but that's why they elevate above those other teams.
This is all provided the Sooners beat Notre Dame.
Sure.
So you lose to Notre Dame? Probably not.
Right, exactly. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Reg. Reg says, at what point, if at all, does Oklahoma State start thinking about a medical redshirt for Wes Lunt? If he can't go this week and they're 8 games down and only 4 to go, is there a possibility of redshirt for Wes Lunt?
I would say at what point is 2:30 p.m. Saturday. If he can't play against TCU, I agree.
Yeah.
It's time to package him up and get ready for next year. No reason to keep waiting and waiting and waiting. November is next week, so it doesn't look like the Cowboys are going to mount a Big 12 title run. Now, they still have the everything before them. They have the control of their own destiny. The Cowboys and Kansas State, only 2 schools that have that. But one more loss knocks OSU out of the Big 12 status. And, you know, if a quarterback can't go this deep into the season, I don't know why you would try to bring him back for 2 or 3 games late. Well,
and they would have a quarterback problem at that point. I mean, we already know, obviously, they've had a quarterback problem all year with these injuries. And so if they can't get Wes Lunt back, and J.W. Walsh is indeed sidelined for the rest of the year with that knee injury, leg injury, whatever we want to qualify that as, it would be Clint Schell's team, Barry, and you'd have basically one other quarterback on campus that's healthy. Does OSU want to go the rest of the year basically saying, we've just basically decided we're giving it up and we're going with what we've got? I don't know. I mean, I think that remains to be seen. Beat TCU, and maybe that decision becomes a little more difficult even if Wes Lunt doesn't play on Saturday. Maybe you say, hey, we're just going to get him when we can and try to ride this thing out. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Alan. Alan says, any idea why Dom Whaley never got on the field last Saturday? I realize that OU didn't run as many offensive plays as previous games, but to my way of thinking, we were enough in control of the game early in the second half to have played a lot of reserves earlier. Good question about Dom Whaley. Where is he, Barry?
It's a good question, and I'm afraid I can't answer it because we asked Bob Stoops about it, and he basically said, we love Dom, we like him, he's going to play. He just ended up not playing the other day.
Not in the doghouse.
Not in the doghouse.
No.
One of the problems against Kansas was they threw so much. The way Kansas set up its defense, it was committed to stopping the run. That's why you saw Landry have such big play opportunities against the Jayhawks. I think the tailbacks only ran 18 plays. Now, the question is, none of those could go to Dom Whaley, but they ran Damian Williams a lot, and then Brennan Clay. I think it's possible it was just an oversight. It really was. Sometimes that happens. Scotty Brooks with the Thunder sometimes says, oh, I forgot, I hadn't been I didn't play him. I was meant to play him. So sometimes that can happen. I do think maybe they're still trying to protect Dom to some degree. Damian Williams clearly has become the man, but I don't know that there's a good reason.
Yeah, and if Scott Brooks can look down at his really short bench and forget he's got a guy there that is a potential all-star or whatever, you can surely forget a running back here and there if you're a coach. Yeah, I don't think Dom Whaley's in trouble. I don't get the sense like he's that type of guy. I think he's probably a really good locker room guy. But if that ankle, maybe they still think, well, maybe it's not exactly where we want it to be. That could be part of it too. I mean, I don't really know the answer, but he hasn't looked as good this year when he has been in as he did a year ago. They may have just said, you know what, odd man out. Maybe he's sort of just fallen down the depth chart a little bit. All right, lastly, Barry, let's go to Jason in the inbox. Jason says, I know it's a long shot, but do you know of any way to make suggestions for the guest picker on College Game Day? I think a wise choice would be Jay Wilkinson, considering Bud's desire to beat the Irish and considering if OU wins Saturday. Bob Stoops will match Bud's victory total of 145. A historic day, potentially.
It's a fabulous idea. If you've never seen Jay, the reason it would work so good on television is this. Jay Wilkinson is the splitting image of his dad. Looks like him, talks like him, is as distinguished, as regal, the way he carries himself. Jay would
he could wear a fedora.
It would be fantastic.
It'd be awesome.
Unfortunately, most of America doesn't know who Bud Wilkinson is, much less Jay Wilkinson. People in my wheelhouse, we think it would be the greatest thing of all time. Most people would say, who are these old men sitting here talking? So it's not going to happen. They're going to go get a singer or a celebrity or somebody. Yeah. The leader in the clubhouse, the Kings of Leon, one of those guys. But I think Jay Wilkinson would be a fabulous choice.
As do I. Yeah, I don't know who they're going to get. They always try to keep it a little bit secret. We actually talked on our 5 and 5 video about our possibilities for that. You know, we've got some fun ones. Listen to us, ESPN. You'll come up with some interesting choices. Maybe Kevin Durant, maybe Carrie Underwood. But yeah, I like the idea, but I think they go for splash. They want somebody that's really going to give them a big splash. So expect something like that. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.